The champ has a name, and his name is Charles Oliveira. He is facing Mateusz Gamrot at UFC Rio. We're going to preview this main event matchup, and let's get into it. Welcome back to Gibbo MMA. We are not doing a sunrise or sunset preview for this card. We are back in the Gibbo headquarters, the shoebox. So welcome back. Appreciate the support. This time last week, we were at 69 subscribers and we are up to now 108. So appreciate you guys subscribing. I very much credit it to when we have these big main events like we did with UFC 320. Great card where more people are following and paying attention to the sport. So it's really good. We have those highs in those cards, but we are kind of leveling back down to baseline with this fight night. If it wasn't for Charles Oliveira, I wouldn't be very excited for this card. So because it's Charles, it's in Rio, it's got that hype around it a little bit. Initially, the main event was Charles versus Rafael Fiziev, but Fiziev pulled out. And then they got on the blower to Mateusz Gamrot. He accepted it. This guy has been calling for a top 5 lightweight for a long time now. He answers the call. He gets on a plane back to the US from Poland, back into fight camp, ATT, and is now in Rio. And this is a fight of Mateusz's life. This right here is a big make or break for Mateusz Gamrot to get to the title, because he's had to fight back a bit. He's coming off that win to Ludwig Klein, and before that, that split decision loss to Dan Hooker. So this fight right here against Charles Oliveira is very much make or break for him at this stage of his career if he wants to get that UFC belt. So let me know your thoughts, guys, about this main event. If you got Charles Oliveira or Mateusz Gamrot. And in this sort of preview, I'm just going to specifically mainly focus on this main event because if you don't know already, I'm a huge fucking casual. Maybe a bit more than, maybe not a huge casual, but I specifically like to tune in and talk about the fights I'm keen on. And this is purely if it wasn't for this Charles Oliveira or this fight, I don't think there would be much anticipation for this fight card. Just being honest, from a fan's perspective. But there are some other fights in there. You got Walter Walker going for 4 in a row on the heel hooks. Can he do it? We got the return of Montel Jackson and Joel Alvarez, which I'll touch on. But specifically this main event, Charles Oliveira coming off that brutal knockout to Poirier only 3 months ago. And then straight afterwards, he announced, well, not straight afterwards, Oliveira versus Rafael Fiziev. And whew, man, I was not looking forward to that matchup. I think Oliveira was looking to another early grave again with that Fiziev matchup, because Fiziev, as you know, crazy Muay Thai striking, and Charles Oliveira's chin, man, it is glassy at this point of his career. So when Fiziev pulled out and Gamrot stepped in, whew, a sigh of relief. A sigh of relief came over me, and this fight is split down the middle. The odds makers have Mateusz Gamrot a slight favourite, and I would agree with them within the odds. It's very split down the middle because, as you know, Mateusz Gamrot, he's a gamer. He's 25-3. He has never been finished in his career. Never been knocked out, never been submitted. And as you know, with Oliveira, he is the finisher king. I believe he has the most finishes in the UFC, most submissions. And can he be the one to finish Mateusz Gamrot? Because Gamrot's never been finished, and can Oliveira, this finisher king, finish Gamrot in this matchup? And my gut, what is speaking to me when this got announced and breaking it down a bit is, man, I am torn. I am absolutely torn on this fight. And my gut is saying Gamrot. My gut is saying Gamrot wins this fight. And it's hard. It's hard to have to say that because I'm a huge Oliveira fan. And in the previews and reviews of the Topuria fight, I was giving Oliveira every possible chance. I had Topuria winning via knockout, but I was making the case that Oliveira could give him trouble just because of the resume he has. But in this fight, man, Mateusz Gamrot, everyone talks about Mateusz Gamrot fucking getting rocked in every single fight, but the guy hasn't been fucking knocked out. So calm down with the guy being chinny. Yes, he gets hit because he enters into the wrestling with the head on the outside and he gets caught. But the guy's never been finished. The guy's never been knocked out. Even though he gets knocked down, he never gets knocked out. He's a bit like Kelvin Gastelum in that sense. Gets caught, but has never been finished or never been knocked out. So I keep hearing, oh, he gets clipped, but the fucking guy doesn't get knocked out. So have a bit of respect for Gamrot in that sense. The guy has never been finished. He gets clipped, yes, but he hasn't. Show me where he's been knocked out. And on his record, he hasn't been knocked out in his fight career. He hasn't been knocked out. But can Charles Oliveira do that? As we know, Charles Oliveira has good stand-up, good kicks, deep kicks, a good check hook. Can he catch Gamrot in this fight? And that is what intrigues me about this main event, because we can speculate all we want. I'm looking forward to the review of this card because of how split down the middle of how this fight's going to go. And yeah, my gut is saying Gamrot gets the win in a decision. And I'm always on the case of like, I want the best for every single fighter. I'm not like I want the best for every single fighter. And, I want the best for Charles, but just coming off that knockout loss, I mean, Charles generally is up and down with his record. He wins, he loses, he wins. So he's lost. He usually bounces back pretty good. So we're in for a great fight here. We're in for a thrill. We could see both guys dropping each other in this fight. We could see Gamrot, Gamrot wants to go get that submission over Charles. But Gamrot, man, he leaves his neck wide open for those gillies and darces. And Charles, as you know, I believe it's the most submissions wins in UFC. He's crazy off his back. He loves to fight off his back. So Gamrot likes to get his opponents down. But will he be able to withstand Charles's crazy submissions from his back and the elbows that Charles throws from his back? Once you go down, so that's what's fun about this fight. Let me know in the comments where this fight will take place and how it will end. Will this fight very much can just take place on the ground? Charles fighting from his back. He can finish the fight in the first or the fifth round. And Mateusz Gamrot, he likes to fight in the clinch and get it to the ground. Now, I don't want to compare him too much to Merab, but from his previous fights, he's very Merab-like in the fact that he is always up and down in his fights with the wrestling. Against the cage, he gets him against the cage, takes him down, then they eventually get back up. And then again, he's looking for the takedown. So he has some sort of a Merab-esque sort of game plan in his fights. not necessarily the game plan, but the way it goes, it's very much up and down against the cage when he fights. And I can very much see that happening again because Charles, he kind of just doesn't give up takedowns, but he knows, hey, I will fight from my back comfortably, but on the judges' scorecards, that doesn't look great. And that's why I have Gamrot reluctantly via decision because I think Charles will probably just give him rounds. Um, with we'll give him rounds by being on his back. Now, it's getting hotter here in Australia. It's spring and we're already getting 30 plus degree days. So it's iced coffee season. Personally, I have a nice long black, but every now and then I'll get a dash of milk in. Dash of milk just to mix it up a bit. Let me know your coffee orders. Yeah, I'm a nice black kind of guy. Less calories. Caffeine hits better. But yeah, Mateusz Gamrot, 13-0 in KSW, as you know, is the Polish, not the Polish power, but he's from Poland. 8-3 in the UFC. A bit of a dark horse in a sense in the lightweight division. And why people don't want to fight him, it's mainly because of name value. He's a tough opponent. What do they gain from fighting Mateusz Gamrot? And that's why he's found it hard over his career to get the big fights. His last big fight was against Dan Hooker in Perth last year on the DDP Adesanya card. And that was the fight of the night. Great fight. And Dan Hooker brings out of his opponents those crazy scraps. So he lost that, and he's been on some, recent split decision sort of fights. Jalen Turner. He's got a win over Arman Sarukian, who's now fighting Dan Hooker in Qatar, Doha. And he's got a win over Rafael Fiziev, but Rafael got injured in that fight, leg injury. And yeah, Mateusz Gamrot, he doesn't give excitement, which is why he hasn't been given the fights that he wants, or people not trying to call him out, because he's on Twitter calling out everyone in that top 5. He's consistently trying to get those big fights, a big name. And what I very much agree and strive for is always put yourself in the position to get the opportunity. And that's what he's done. He's always put himself in the position and he's been patient. And when the phone called to say, hey, do you want to step in to fight Charles Oliveira in his home country, in Rio, he was there to answer it and say yes. So that's how this matchup has come about. Will he be ready for 5 rounds? I mean, listening to an interview just before I started recording with MMA Junkie, a lot of these fighters, man, they're always ready. And they've been training their whole lives for these moments. So, of course, I believe Gamrot is ready for this fight. He's been training his whole life for this fight. The only thing is just the cardio. You can't. Is he going to be peaking for a 5-round fight here? Last time he had a 5-round fight is a scheduled 5-round fight was against Rafael Fiziev, which ended by a leg injury in round 2, and that was 2 years ago in 2023. So that's my only question coming into this as far as is he ready? Skill-wise, he's ready. He's been training his whole life for this moment. It's just peaking for a 5-round fight when, as you know, when you hear other fighters and coaches and people talk, it's just different when you're trying to peak for a 5-round fight, and it's a very small window. And Gamrot said, Mike Brown, his coach, says he's been gifted with great cardio, which I do believe. He does have pretty good cardio. The only thing that gasses him is just taking heavy damage, like you saw in the Hooker fight. When he takes heavy damage, that's when he really slows down, of course, when he gets clipped. And yeah, I believe he's very much ready for 5 rounds. I think just round 4 and 5. I don't know if Rio's at elevation, if they're fighting at a bit of elevation. I'm not sure, but man, I'm not too concerned with Gamrot's cardio coming into this. Just something I thought would bring up is 5 rounds. People generally are always trying to peak at the right time for it and spend the whole training camp getting that endurance ready. But I believe Gamrot's been preparing his whole life to be peaking for this moment. And yeah, so not much else to touch on, I don't think. Oliveira, home country advantage. Will that play a part? I think it's more, I wouldn't say more pressure, but always you want to perform well in your own home country. I think he'll obviously getting a lot of support. Um, Last time Oliveira faced a heavy grappler was Islam, and you saw what happened then. He got ran through, but Islam, a whole different beast in that manner. Um, but Gamrot, he's got to watch out when he's entering those takedowns that his neck doesn't get caught. That's my concern, is on the entries. Charles Oliveira can very much just pull a ghillie or scramble and get a DAS, and Gamrot's got to watch out for Oliveira's check hook. That's my only concern for Gamrot heading into this. For Oliveira, he's got to not count out Gamrot's hands. He's got to be not overconfident and not discredit Gamrot's striking. Because Oliveira, man, 3 months off one of the most brutal knockouts in history, man. Oliveira was to another realm by Topuria, one of the most powerful knockout artists, lightweight, lighter man knockout artist of all time. And he bounces back good, Oliveira, but is this too soon? That is the biggest question. Is this too soon of a turnaround? Yes, it's in Brazil, but is it too soon? And that's where I do question Oliveira's fight IQ. Obviously, every fighter has, good fight IQ, but Oliveira, just some of the decision making in some fights, you go, pulling guard when you're a round down, fighting off your back, and you need to win on the judges' scorecards. Is that the smartest move? Which I could very much see this happening. He could be down 4 rounds and be on his back in the fifth, trying to win it off his back, which he can do, of course, but he needs to be in strong positions to win this fight. But yeah, I'll leave the main event at that, and I'll quickly skim over some of the other matchups I'm keen on. But let me know your thoughts, who you got winning in this main event. I'll be doing a live reaction for this again. Go check out the other live reactions I've done for the Yuri Prohaska fight. Man, that was insane. And the Dominic Reyes, I got a live reaction. Might be camping this weekend for the fight, so I might be somewhere on an island camping watching this fight. So that'll be interesting. So stay tuned for the review and the live reaction. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, who you've got winning in this matchup. I'm reluctantly going Gamrot via decision. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm a huge Charles fan, of course. But yeah, let me know who you got winning. And yeah, as we skim over the rest of the card, because as you know, with me and doing these review previews, I just focus on what I'm keen for, because man, like, you got lives to live. So you can't spend every hour and second paying attention to every single fight. Like, you got shit to do. So that's why when I do these, I want you guys to get the gist of what I think you should be paying attention to. Obviously, if you personally know the fighter, like, yeah, you'd be tuning in, but I personally don't know any of these guys. But yeah, when I do see a fighter I'm keen on watching, I'll let you guys know. And that's the co-main. The co-main's an interesting matchup. Montel Jackson returning against Davison Figueiredo, who's returning from that injury loss to Sean O'Malley. Yeah, Montel Jackson is a tall guy for the bantamweight division. Figgy's 5.5 foot, Montel 5'10". And I think, yeah, Figueiredo will just be outsized in this fight. As you know, Figueiredo, former flyweight champ, but I think he's just going to be outsized in this fight against Montel. He's on a 6-fight win streak. He debuted back in 2018, Montel did. So he's been around, but he lost to Ricky Simone. Tell you what, Ricky Simone, he's got some scalps in his record. He's got Marab on his record as well. But yeah, another tall, long guy for the bantamweight division. And so I got him winning against Figgy. Figgy will want to get this to the ground. Joel Alvarez returns. He hasn't fought since December of last year. So he's been out for a while. He was supposed to fight Benoit Saint Denis sometime this year. But he faces Vicente Luque. Yeah, this could be a short night and an easy night for Joel Alvarez. So I got him winning by knockout. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, if you haven't fought in almost a year in the UFC, no matter how big you are, man, the fans really start to kind of forget and stop remembering who you are, especially if you're an unranked fighter but you're on the come up. Yeah, people just really start to go, oh, who's this guy again? And then you look at a highlight and you go, oh, that's who it is. Because, yeah, Joel, man, went back to his last fight and he had that crazy finish where he had the guy in a ghillie up against the fence, essentially, and he was fucking punching the shit out of him and got that crazy knockout. It was like a sub-slash knockout because he had him in the ghillie with one arm and then he was punching in the other. So, and I was like, oh, that's the, that's what the fans love. But when you haven't fought in almost a year, they're like, yeah, why should we pay attention to you? Who are you? And that's just me speaking to what the casual fan base sort of is. So definitely tune in for this fight. It could be a vicious knockout win. Or Vicente could wind back the clock and get an upset. And we've got an Australian fighting on this card. We've got Stuart Nickel. He debuted on the DDP Adesanya card, lost by Gilly in the first round, unfortunately. But he's one of the top flyweights in Australia. So he'll be looking to get back in the win column. He's versing Lucas Frocher, a very tough opponent. So I'll be cheering the Aussie on. But Volta Walker, man, on the prelims versus Kamaru Usman's little big brother, Muhammad Usman, in the heavyweight bout. Volta Walker's looking he's on a 3-fight win streak. And those have come by heel hook submission. So he's on a heel hook fucking tear right now. He's got 3 heel hooks in a row. He's got 2 this year, and he got the one last year over Junior Tuffer. So he's gone for 4 wins in a row and 4 heel hooks in a row. And he can very much do it against Muhammad. Get the big fella down and, yeah, shred that heel apart. So I'll be paying attention to that fight. I'll be looking at the submission market props for that. I don't think they've dropped yet, but yeah, Volta Walker by heel hook, get him a ranked opponent. Him versus Tom Aspinall. That'll be him versus Aspinall next year. That'd be quite the fight. But yeah, that's pretty much UFC Rio. Yeah, I don't need to go on to every single matchup, to be honest. Mainly just that Charles Oliveira fight versus Mateusz Gamrot is what I'm keen on. But yeah, let me know if you think Volta Walker is going to get that 4th heel hook in a row. Now, to end this, I went and watched The Smashing Machine, as you know, came out over the weekend, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and it's about Mark Kerr, one of the early pioneers in the MMA world. And there's been mixed reviews because of the box office earnings so far over the weekend. It was a $50 million budget and it did $6 million in the opening box office. And so I wanted to go and watch it, and I finally got time to go and watch it last night. And I gotta say, man, The Rock's performance was exceptional. He's known for being that action guy, deuce, deuce, deuce with the guns and fly here, fly there, save the world type of stuff. But man, I was coming into this trying to put my MMA of me aside to just experience a sports drama and try and leave my MMA and perspective to the side a bit and just purely focus on the artistic side of it. And yeah, man, like you guys got to go and watch it. Don't pay attention to, oh, it didn't make this or make that. It's a very niche movie, very, very niche. And I think like a big deal is like if it passes the parents or the mum and dad test. So I'm gonna have to go and get them to see it and give me a feedback on how they enjoyed it from a perspective of someone who doesn't know what Pride is or MMA and what it was like back then. But yeah, just a great performance from The Rock. Forget the money. Like obviously money matters for movies and all that to make it's a business, but just only one person could really have played this, and that was The Rock. So go and watch it and support an MMA movie because yeah, it matters. Every ticket they sell at the cinemas for that movie, it definitely matters because we want to see more movies of this. Like there are so many crazy and awesome stories and movies that can be depicted of UFC or MMA fighters, and Mark Kerr. The story of Mark Kerr is, you know, a great story, and it was a great movie in a sense of just depicting that because it's very hard to kind of put fighting MMA into a movie because like watching the fight scenes of Pride and all that, I just felt like I was watching another. When you watch so many fights, you're just like, oh, I'm just watching another fight card. Like, all right, let's get through the fights. But I tried to take off my MMA hat and just be like, if I've never watched MMA before and I'm watching it at the movies in this movie, it was actually really good. Like the fight scenes and The Rock was able to emulate Mark Kerr's fighting style was exceptional. So go and watch it and yeah, come back to this video and let me know what you think of the movie. Emily Blunt played the wife. Exceptional acting. You can definitely see like um, why these actors get paid a lot, and like someone who's been acting sort of their whole life with Emily Blunt because Ryan Bader played Mark Coleman. He's not an actor, but he did really well. I didn't think he was going to be in the movie that much, Ryan Bader, depicting Mark Coleman, but he got a lot of screen time. And that's huge for a UFC fighter to get that much screen time in a big budget movie in the cinemas worldwide. So huge moment for the MMA sort of community and world. So yeah, go and support it. Let me know what you think of the movie. Obviously, I'm not going to give away spoilers of scenes. Obviously, you can go see the results of the fights and what's happened with Mark Kerr and all that, but I'm not going to give away spoilers of like the scenes and my reaction to them. Go and watch it for yourself and let me know what you think. I will say the ending was a little bit. I thought they could have done the ending a bit better, um, but that's all I'll say. But yeah, a great depiction of a fighter And yeah, it's very niche. So if you don't know much about MMA and Pride and all that, you'd just be kind of a little bit confused. But because like you can go on, like I go on UFC Fight Pass and watch old Pride fights all the time, and watch documentaries about Pride. So I was following along, I could follow along very well with the timeline they set the movie between 97 and 2000. They didn't show too much UFC stuff, which I thought they would have. It was just mainly centered around, yeah, the Pride tournament. Um, but yeah, go give it a watch. Let me know. I'd say just excellent performance and could be the start of more MMA movies. Because, like, who would you like to see? Which fighter would you like to see a sport drama made after them? So, if you have watched the movie, let me know what you think of it. But, like, which fighter should get a movie like that? There's so many. You think of John Jones. Imagine a sports drama movie with a big budget about John Jones, George St. Pierre, Alex Pereira. The list goes on. Or even just fighters that weren't champ on and weren't as known. There's plenty of those great stories. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm trying to think right now. Um, yeah, I can't think of any who like even a guy like in the New Zealand area, like Dan Hooker. I mean, that guy used to be a heavyweight. But yeah, there's so many stories and movies that you could make from UFC fighters. So this is a step forward. Didn't get the crazy, reviews or whatever, but I think it's just because people just don't understand. And MMA's only been around for like 20 years, or well, the UFC's only been around for 20 years, and it's only finally just it's only just become mainstream. So imagine in another 20 years' time, and getting a even bigger budget and learning how to depict these fighters a lot better. So let me know, come back, go watch it, or if you have watched it, come back to this video and let me know your thoughts on the Smashing Machine. I'll give it about a 7.5. Thought there were just bits of the storyline and depiction of sort of things that I thought could have been a bit better, but it's very hard to do when you're trying to make a reenactment of someone's life. So I'll give it a 7.5. Some would definitely give it an 8 or more. But honestly, yeah, like 7.5. It could be very much of a cult following of a movie for sure. I think this movie will age really well. I think in 5 years' time will be like, or 10 years' time, I think it will finally get the love it deserves. But yeah, that's UFC Rio done. We'll be doing the review. Let me know your thoughts and predictions. Appreciate the support again. Be sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll have a good day, and I'll see you in the review. Catch you later.